Welcome to the show. Bass and Bonsai in the house. We got out on the water. The weekend's fishing festivities were kind of an S show. So anyway, you just watched the video, which was the majority of what the fishing took place Saturday morning. Got to try out some of the swim bait stuff with Charles. His trolling motor, I think, come to find out, had like gotten water in the motor. Anyway, it did not want to shut off. And his trolling motor is always notorious, the one in the back, and he has mounted the one in the front because he's still redoing the boat. But it's like crazy fast right off the bat. It'll set you down. Then it didn't want to shut off, so that was a nightmare. So we got lucky to get that much fishing in. And you saw some swim bait fish caught. Nothing real big. Of course, we were going to a place to check it for a guy and see if it needed some fish kept out for him, and guess what? Yeah, it does. And you guys comment below what you think. Like if you guys are, some of you guys are even older than me, about places that are, not huge lakes, private places or not, but they're basically not huge, and what you think you're taking is on like keeping fish out, managing small ponds, lakes, pits, stuff like that. Like I think just after, because Charles did this like a couple years ago. I think he said he kept a couple hundred out, and like 2 years later, they're still Dinksville. Like we caught a couple decent ones, but you could just see them coming and swimming at the baits, and they're like, it was clear enough water. We were spooking them. If we'd have wanted a chance at giants, we should have been making super long casts away from the boat because they could kind of tell what was up. But some of them baits, they just couldn't resist it. Like that reaction thing on some of these glide baits I've cut. It's like, they had to like hit it anyway in some of these whopper plopper type baits. So we covered a lot of ground there just in that little bit, and then the rest of the weekend's been a nightmare. It's got some storms going on right now outside. So I think, in my opinion, the guy wants some more kept out. I think we should honestly, I don't even know how many times we'll hit it this year, or Charles should just go and hit it and keep almost every, and what size would you guys keep? Like it's a private place, so there's really not a size limit. My thoughts are those nicer ones you saw us keeping should be thrown back, but anything smaller than that, anything which would be, illegal to keep out of a public place, any of them smaller bass should just be kept out probably the rest of this year, and it should honestly probably be hit pretty hard. But the guy, I don't know if he wants to spend any money like to put a forage food in there for him. Oh my God, who keeps turning this thing on? So, that's nothing to really worry about right now. Let's talk about, there's been some questions of like why, BFS, why Swimbaits, why this and that. I haven't really changed course on this channel, but this channel was started for fun for actually bonsai and bass fishing. Bass fishing, then bonsai. Bonsai took over for about a year or so because it was just getting way more views, and I kind of got bored with it. And it still actually gets more views than even the fishing, even though fishing's dominated it for years. But I kind of set out with the BFS thing, and honestly, and I'm just going to say this, and I don't want to knock anybody that's still big into the BFS. I've been there, done that kind of thing. Like you see the tactical bassing guys, they're big into it now. Like it's just something still new for them. I've been BFS fishing for like 10 years now, is the way I feel. Finesse, small, kind of limited on places I could fish. And I was basically the guy going there. I was fishing all the time, as much as I could get out, and basically pressuring them myself. So I'd have to, it's what kind of got me going on switching up baits, downsizing, doing this and that. And then as far as the reels and rods and stuff, I feel there's still a lot of areas for the rods to be improved. Basically just they need, any spinnerbait rod that's been made to fit a niche, it needs to be made for a bait casting reel now, because, it basically should be able now, they've come with the technology enough to throw down to the lightest of stuff for the ultralight, but there's really not like every little niche small type thing out as far as rods go. There's several rods now, it's gotten better just in the last year or two, but I feel it's like I don't know. I've just been there, done that, and I honestly feel like keep going on and on. I know there's a lot of you guys that are new and jumping into it and haven't been doing BFS for a while. They still have questions about, well, what, reel, what rod, this and that. Like, in my opinion, and I've tried to say it several times, I've done it a few times, and I still, probably one of my biggest questions I get is somebody will jump on there asking me what reel over this reel off AliExpress, or if any of them are comparable to the JDM and this and that. So before I'm done, I'm going to take this piece of paper and I'm going to write it down on my list of the BFS one for that from the AliExpress market, basically, but then I'll put a little side thing on if any of them from the JDM side, because in all honesty, not really with this reel, but they were already headed that way. For the bang for your buck, and the fact that these reels, a BFS reel, doesn't have to be built as strong and as sturdy as, say, let's just call this a Swimbait reel, even though it's not. It does have a power handle on it, because you're dealing with, some of you guys think it's crazy that I run 10-pound tests, because, BFS, you probably want to run under 10 pound, but 10 pound, I put 10-pound braid on. I'll go to 10-pound leader, 6-pound leader. I really don't like throwing anything smaller than that, not because I'm worried about catching the little dinks. It's because it's so hard to mess with my big hands and my bad eyesight. That's why I kind of stick with that. But so it's like, you don't have to have the refinement to the point to where if you're putting a lot of pressure and stress, to wear your equipment out. The equipment will last longer. BFS, you can go buy a BFS rod and reel combo, and if it's anywhere close to the quality of a higher end, heavier duty for bigger, say anything over a 15-pound line, you're really going to put some torque on it, it should still outlast that other stuff. Just you're not putting the torque on it. It's like a little miniature winch, right? So, in all honesty, I think the JDM market, they're there. The CDM market, they're there. Like, we're already out there throwing. Last year, me and Charles, I was messing around when I was fishing with him. I was throwing like a crazy 1/2 gram on, was it, I want to say it wasn't even the higher end alphas. Was it the older alphas, Airstream? Or one of those? Like, it was just insane. Like, you can already throw real lightweight stuff. Not necessarily on this reel. I haven't really tested it all the way yet. So I'm kind of to the point where you keep, like, what else is reel's going to come out other than it's going to look a little different? Oh, they've got a lighter or quieter. Because in all honesty, not this reel. I've already had the reel that I think the best reel on the market for true ultralight or all-around BFS, and that's the Aldebaran 22. Problem with it, it's an ugly looking turd that's got that stupid gear in it. It's got a little catch to it. No matter what anybody else will tell you, the freeness of the Aldebaran 22 and almost any Shimano made for nowadays, because it's got a little plastic, the worm gear itself is like plastic, and I guess that's what I'm feeling. But every new Shimano I feel, there's like a catch. There's like just a little bit of resistance. With everything else turned down, you can feel that resistance. This reel feels way better just like this than that Aldebaran 22. It's not a better overall reel. That 22 is the smoothest, quietest casting down to the lightest baits, and it'll still go up there than any of the other BFS. Hands down. It's got that beat. That's why I'm kind of looking forward to, if I can get rid of my older Conquest, I want to get the newer Conquest BFS, because I think it's going to work just like the Aldebaran 22, because the Aldebaran 16 that I've already had and the Calcutta Conquest 2017, they were very similar and close. They cast very good, but they were loud. They had louder bearings, so I think all that technology, and I honestly think it's just in the bearings that Shimano's using, they blow away. Like, they're better than a hybrid ceramic, and they're way quieter. I think they've really, I think it's their house bearings, and because Shimano also deals in bicycles and all that kind of stuff, but that's for another story maybe. But anyway, that's why I think that the Shimano's kind of cornered the market for that smooth, all around, real quiet BFS, feel. And you can't knock almost any reels they make other than that worm gear type deal I told you about. And some of you guys would never even notice that if you reel and fill them and all that kind of stuff. So before I go swim baiting, like I'm going to talk about in a minute, the video that just dropped today, that's kind of what, and Charles, I got him pulled in on it. He went and bought a $40, I'm going to say, I don't even know what brand. And he proceeded, if you saw in the video, threw it right off. Luckily, he had crazy bright line. We were able to see the line. I grabbed it, and he got that in. So he didn't lose a $40 bait. He almost did. So I'm going to put my final thoughts on the BFS, CDM, JDM battle, the battle of the CDM reels, the Arise, even throw in the Cast Kings, even though I don't even use them. I had the Zephyr. I don't have the Kestrel, but I can tell you that it's probably somewhere with this reel. It'd probably be just a matter, you know, are you a Ford or Chevy guy? Are you a Cast King guy? You're going to want the Cast King. If you are like me and you just really, the overall looks of Cast Kings you don't really care for, and the overall, they just feel a little, because they're like a little cheaper than some of your higher end ones. These Arise reels, I'll just talk about them real quick, and then I'll probably wrap up my Arise reel talk. These reels are coming from, and I guess the plant, everything is in China. That's where they're made. I believe they have to be who's also making them for the ARC reels that are available on Tackle Warehouse. And they do have a new braking system that I think still needs some slight refinement. But the overall feel of the reel, Hybo Arise, right? So the Hybo company that brought us the Steed, which I actually like that reel. If you guys remember, right, the reel test, he didn't like his. He likes it. He loves the new Air. He's talked very highly about it in the video he put out, or a couple videos. But as far, I don't think he's owned any of the regular Rise or the, I don't think he plans on getting the Elite, because he's more of the ultralight fisherman, you know. So these reels have a refinement that is matched to, I would call it your upper end Luz or Abu Garcia. I don't think I could call it all the way full, you know, high end Shimano, high end Daiwa. Their high end reels are up there with, you know, they're up there. They're good. There's nothing, like, I can't find anything wrong. There's nothing really to talk about. Like, there's not a geary sound feel. They're real smooth. Everything works right. What's up, Jay? So the only thing I can knock, because I've done it to this one, if the tolerances were tight enough, and maybe it's fixed. I don't know. Maybe I got an older reel, but I think Jay bought his before mine. Jay just joined in. He's the guy that told me about these. He's the guy that loves his. I think he also bought a couple more once he saw how well it worked and he liked it. For the money, you know, just over 100 and what, 120, 25, 30 bucks. For this one's 168. The Air's like 120. What I found, once I did add that magnet, now this is still a reel. You do not want to get out and just cast as hard as you can. How I have mine set anyway. What I found was you cast it, it's a hard caster. Like, you can cast it hard, but not like full on, Daiwa Boost hard, and that's why I like the Daiwa Boost spools over anything. I have that tendency to just put a little extra oomph into it. It gets me in trouble with even the Boost spool. It gets me in trouble with every bait caster I've ever owned, but the Boost is the best at it. The probably, honestly, the Shimano's would be next in line, but one of the reels, or the types of reels that are even probably the better at it than any of them, but I feel like I can't cast those as far as I can, a Daiwa or Shimano, are actually the Doyo ones that have the dual. They have the centrifugal and the magnetic braking system, because you put on one of those little arms and then adjust the magnets, and I feel those reels I can kind of get out there and be more freed up with. But the Arise reel, and I think I put together, I have put together a video basically right after that Swimbait video you watched today. I was out there casting this reel with I added on one side, I added 4 magnets. And what it done, I don't know if you can see that. So on one side, that's upper side, I couldn't do it. I put them on the bottom and it did rub. So I think the tolerance is there. I think they need to refine this I think the mechanism is fine. It is a dynamic mechanism. They pull or move or whatever. I think the design of it is good. I think the overall machine work needs some refinement on however they're doing it, to where the tolerances are 100% on every reel, and the magnets can get as close to this inductor rotor without touching as they possibly can, and that's what will let you, have a better overall reel. Now, so far, I don't know if I tried to put one in here or there, but I know I put them in on one side and this one rubbed, so I took them right back. I didn't even try to use it like that. I just tried it before I went out, and actually I went out and cast this reel and it seemed fine, but I just wanted to see if I could put some in. So I think it is a tighter tolerance, and so far I have had no issues with this reel. Once I initially set it up, I can go out there, it feels like it's free, like there's, I don't have these set too tight to where it's restricting me from the distance I should have, and I don't have issues with backlashing unless I turn into the wind with the bait that I know is going to catch wind, and then you can have overruns and stuff, but no like major backlashes. And I feel this reel got there after I added those magnets I just showed you. But the funny thing, even over this reel, over my Zillions, over my Steez reels, over any Shimano I've ever used, this reel, casting regular baits, well, I'll take that back. The one Shimano that feels the same as this reel. The Aldebaran 22, throwing lighter baits, like the release point, you have to let it go sooner. And almost like some of the Alpha's air reels, when you're in their wheelhouse on the very lightweight baits, there's like a freeness. So your release point has to be you have to hold on a little longer, because it just sends the bait flying so fast. It's so free that where you normally, if you're letting go way over here and the bait's going to go there, because there's, just not really a pull, but maybe a little drag on it that just comes natural with line being pulled off the spool, the movement of the spool and all that. This reel is like the freest I've ever felt. So what happens when I make overhead cast, it shoots way too high up in the air, or when I'm, side one, it shoots off to the right further than any of my other reels. It's like a noticeable difference. And I'm talking not like, that's just when you're under your normal casting, just making normal cast. You grab another rod and reel combo, you cast it a while, and you just feel like you gotta, where you release, or maybe not cast harder, but you just cast differently. When you grab this, it's just an easier casting one, and you definitely don't want to like cast it as hard as you can. So it's set now to where you let the rod load and cast it, and it'll go crazy distances. It'll go very good. Will I put it up against the cast test against I don't know, the Zillion or some other, maybe the Steez or something, because it's a very light spool. It works. Now it works. So my overall on the Haybo Arise reels are, I could say they're worth the money. You just may know that if you get one of the regular ones, or what they call the Pro now, I don't think you'll have to worry about the Elite or the Air, but if you get one of the older models, you may have to do the little magnet trick like we did with Dark Wolf Ultra and all the other stuff. So I'm going to finish one more thing, and then we're going to go to these crazy handles and stuff like that. So one more deal on our BFS reels. No, I'm not done with BFS. I think I'm going to keep this reel. I'm definitely switching these handles out. So let me give you my overall on this. The Elite reel is an awesome reel. I honestly like the Arise reels, how this thumb bar sets up kind of Shimano-like. The Daiwas are perfect the way they are, but the Shimano set a little higher than Daiwa typically, and the Arise reels are sort of like that. They got just, I like that higher thumb bar feel. So they've got that. I like this reel for the handle. I do not like the knobs or the drag star. It looks a little funky. I may, honestly, at some point, I just haven't decided yet, I may put that drag star on it. So it may have that, and then some kind of possibly cork knobs, and then we'll call that real good. But so I can refer somebody back to this video possibly, or maybe I'll just put this as the Bass and Bonsai header for a while. I cannot probably remember them all, but I'll try to put a list of just my pick, and it's mainly for the price compared to the, you know, performance. So I'll just do, if I can fit that many in, I'm not even off the top of my head, the CDM. So the ones come from AliExpress, usually cheap, sometimes not. I don't hardly own anymore because, as you guys remember, I talk about it all the time in videos. Focus. I'm not a collector, so when I'm done with something, let me open my Diet Coke. I'm done with something. I know, Brew Tank somewhere going, he needs to be drinking Fireball. Now, you kind of also, there could be a separate category. This is for, like, considering ultralight BFS and all around. It's kind of like everything. If you're a guy that just wants to switch out your spinning gear with regular bass gear, you probably want to avoid, in my opinion, if you're a crank the drag down, you're still going to run, you know, you're still going to typically fish hard bass type fishing. You just want to replace your spinning rod and reel combos with bait casting ones. I guess I'll just give you guys my quick opinion on that. Would be basically two, and it's really 3 reels. I would get either this reel, the Corrado BFS, which is available in the States and will have a warning and all that, so that's probably your best pick, the Corrado BFS. But if you're gonna, you know, AliExpress, you like the way this one looks. As far as the overall feel and refinement, I think this looks better than the Corrado in my opinion. I think it works. I think it'll cast lighter, but that really won't matter to you because you're running regular stuff, so the Corrado would be your pick there. So the things I like it better about, you may not care for if you're the guy that just, you know, your fishing gears are like, is basically like a tool to perform a job, but you do prefer, you know, let's just say the spinning gears, a wrench, and you consider the bait casters like socket and ratchet, right? They just can get the job done better, you feel anyway, so you kind of want to go that way. The Corrado BFS is like the no-brainer of the bunch, but if you're kind of like me and you just like the little fancier different things, I would honestly probably pick this over the Corrado BFS. But if you were wanting to spend the money on like what's the best one out there that is the most capable, that's the Aldebaran 22 in my opinion. It's going to do performance wise, if you did want to go real low and light and just overall ease of casting, it's going to beat this and the Corrado. But those would be my 3. I wouldn't include any, the Zephyr that's out there you can get on Amazon or whatever. Dude, that Zephyr is older technology. It'll do it, but it's a plastic reel. It will, you know, do those like, I wouldn't even know if I'd go down to 4 grams, but like say 6 grams up. The Zephyr's a decent reel, but this reel will smoke it like hands down. It's twice as much money. The Corrado's twice as much money, but it'll smoke the Zephyr also. Now, I might list one of the Cast Kings in here, the Kestrels in them, but I've not fished any of those other. The Zephyr and I think 2 other reels Charles has owned that weren't BFS. I felt a Cast King. I think I may have bought a Cast King years back when they first came out, and they were junk. They were junk then. I'll be 100% honest. Just like some of this older and still reels you can find on AliExpress, junk. But let's get this list going, and I'll try to shoot some what I call comparable JDM for the money kind of deals if some of you guys are just curious to know my thoughts, my take on the matter. And some of you probably already know what I'm going to put up here on number 1. Number 1 for me is a no-brainer, and I'm just going to abbreviate some of this stuff, but the Dark Wolf Ultra. Now, the Black Knight 2, BK2, same reel, basically look a little different. What's up, Bruce? Those 2 reels, and I pick this one because it's just a smoother overall, shape. That one's got some little more squared off edges, and I think it's always a little more expensive. The Dark Wolf Ultra at one time was you could get for $55. The Performance for true ultralight fishing, which will still go for all around also, like it doesn't kind of hinder you like the Air is known to be a one-trick pony. Once you cast heavier baits, other BFS reels can outcast it. The Dark Wolf Ultra and the Black Knight 2, hands down. There's nothing out there for the bang for your buck that can compare to those two. And then having said that, since those are so good, number 2 has to go to the Acura and the Micro Monster. And I know you guys probably won't be able to read this. They are basically variants of that come with the dual spools. You guys have seen it on all my other videos. Charles owns almost all of these now because he likes them, and he is kind of a, he's not really a collector, but he's more of a collector. Actually, Charles is a collector, but not like, you know, he uses what he gets, and then but he has a bunch, and he'll pull it out and use it. I'm like using it, and if I don't use it after a couple weeks, I'm like, let's just sell it, and I'll buy something else if I want to fill that gap. So that's my top. Like if you want to go the Acuras and the Micro Monster, their shallow spool won't compete with the Dark Wolf Ultra or the Black Knight 2. They'll get close, but they, you know, if you're truly ultralight fishing, just get one of those two. If you want one that can ultralight and actually a bigger spool, that if you guys remember right, the Acura for about half a season, I've ran it for like half ounce, 3/8 ounce chatterbait fishing with 15-pound test, that deeper spool. You can do regular bass fishing with that. Now I don't recommend, I really don't recommend 15-pound. I used it, but you could tell that's at the limit to really not the internal or the spool or anything, actually just the fact it's a graphite frame that's a smaller profile reel. You do stand a chance if you, especially if you crank that drag crazy tight and you get hung up on something, you yanked hard enough, I see you could rip the back part of the, you could basically tear this back part completely out of the reel seat. That was the only issue for being a, if they would make one of those with an aluminum frame like the Arise, it would be a no-brainer. That would be the best all-around everything reel. BFS, you know, it'd cover it all. So if I had to go to number 3, I'm actually going to put the, I'm going to put the Arise reels. Any of them. Like, they're just good reels. Of course, the Elite or the Air, they should be there. They're a little more pricey, but they're a very refined reel. And I know my marker's already gone dead. I think I took this out of my box because it was getting soft and running out of ink. So then number 4, I would probably put, it's hard to like track down nowadays. It would probably be a tie between, yeah, I'm going to put, that's probably where the Kestrel's cheaper now. So I'm going to put it there just for the fact that now it's, you know, for the bang for your buck, it's probably okay. But then I'm putting number 5 is the Lingle. The Lingle is still an awesome alternative, a very good working, functioning reel, but it's almost older technology. The Lingle can throw ultralight stuff, but you're going to be struggling. I would not mess with, if you're going ultralight only, you probably don't want a Lingle. If you're going, you just want a cool all-around one. And the way the Lingle's built, and I'll show you one, I think this frame would handle the 15-pound test no problem. So not the Lingle, but there's variants. So I'm going to include in number 5 the variants, which is like this reel. You can have a deeper spool. I think you could go, and this one, and there's still some you can get, still have like brass gears over aluminum. So the Lingle and its variants, I would have to have there. Maybe I'll just give you my top 5. And then the, oh shoot, I forget whatever the, basically the plastic Kestrel is, that they call it something, the Valiant Eagle 2, I think is what they call it. Oh, I spelled that wrong. That would probably be in there. And then really all those other ones that are popping up here and there, I think some of them are just variations of the other ones. I don't even know, like the older ones, I think some of them you can still get. Like if you remember right, there's variants of the GH100, I guess. I don't even know if you can still get those. I'm going to put the PW100. I think I still saw it, and the GH100. Then would probably be somewhere around the Spirit Fox, if you still see it. And then I guess I'll give top 10. I'm going to give to the Zephyr. Now that isn't 100% because there's very good possibility there's a reel I'm totally forgetting about that comes from there. But so I guess I should do a top. Let's do a top 5. So CDM, JDM. JDM, I've already said it, the 22 Aldebaran. Number 2, I'm just going to call it, it's not even out yet. I'm going to put the newest Conquest. Is it considered a 22 now that we're into 23 and it's not out yet? I'm going to put 23 Conquest. It's heavier, but it's a kind of more bougie reel than the Aldebaran anyway. But I'm going to put it there. And then I'm going to put, I'd still say the Alphas or any of their variant. Or any of the Daiwa SS. The new SS Air coming out probably is, should be right in there somewhere. I'm just going to put Daiwa in general. Daiwa. Oh. Is there even, I don't even know if there's anybody else that comes in on that. If I had to break off, I still like, in my honest opinion, the first of the last. It was basically the Airstream Custom is still my favorite Daiwa BFS reel, and I believe it was I can't even remember his name. Sorry, Bait Finesse Empire. I should know your name by now, but anyway, I sold him mine. I still think that older Alpha reel was just a better filling reel for me. Then would come some of the other variants like the Geckobigen, the Airstream Custom, stuff like that. Those, So anyway, I consider that these top ones here can get the same job done. All 3 of these reels are going to be with this as far as, let's just use 1 gram. So for 1 gram or less, you're going to have a battle. Like any of those will handle any of that. Most of these reels, the Daiwa reels, they are very good for true ultralight, but then for all around BFS, I feel they struggle over a lot of these others. So if I was picking a reel, like say I don't have the Arise Elite, right? If I was picking one to go just ultralight BFS fishing, it's going to be the new Conquest. Hopefully I'll get one at some point because I like that, just kind of that fancier, classier. It's not going to be heavy because I've got it on, it's going on my 5'6" rod, and it's just going to be a fun one to fish. It may not be the best performing one overall, but I know it should cast like the Aldebaran 22, so technically it should be. Even though it's a little heavier, it's not really bulkier. Once they get that small, they're not really that bad around reel. So that'd be my number 1. But honestly, I'm trying to look if, like, take the fact that I already own the Arise Elite, what would my pick be over? And there's one, the Salamandura Air, and they may have a whatchamacallit Air, but honestly, those would probably be further down the list. Oh, I didn't even put the whatchamacallit in there, the Corrado, which I was already talking about it. The Corrado's in there, just kind of an all-around. I don't even know if there's another whatchamacallit. I guess I'm have to decide what I'm thinking about. If you're wondering, I'm being kind of quiet. I would be considering what would be my top pick for best all around. And honestly, be between these two guys. You know, on the cheaper, like because I feel this outcasts this for like regular size baits. Once you get into that almost crappie 2 grams 16th ounce, but definitely 4 grams and up kind of thing, it's right with any of those. It beats the I think it honestly, it's with or beats the Corrado. It's right with the Aldebaran. It definitely is like right with the old Aldebaran. I hadn't really put this one up against all those guys. I feel this one will cast lighter than this one though, and I feel it'll cast just as good as this guy on the upper end, so I have to pick him over that. Problem is that's 168, this is 75. So you can get 2 of these and some change for this guy. So it's hard to make that call on which one I would pick. They both, in my opinion, have a the feel is as comfortable. This one makes your thumb feel like it's just a hair higher. This one feels just like a Steez. That's why I definitely love the way it feels. This one still feels, I guess, as good. It's definitely got a better thumb feel. But for the money cost, oh, that is a tough one. So the toughest thing out of all this is which one would I pick for an all-around, you know, if I was going to like just start slapping some on a bunch of rods to replace spinning type gear. Because they both have, the spools are kind of iffy on how much, like if you're only running 10-pound braid, if you're trying to run one of these with 10-pound line and held enough line, neither one of these would really be there. I'm not sure how much, I can't remember how much this holds compared to the Corrado, but this one doesn't take the cake. The Corrado will hold more line than this. So you'd have to include the Corrado in that all around. Yep, it would still be probably between this one or the Corrado. This guy for all around, like I guess I'd call your true ultralight and regular BFS, but to truly replace your spinning gear, this guy or the Corrado BFS. I know I probably confused you guys more than you're already confused, but for me, I'm just going to stick with this one. I already own it. I think it's substantially lighter than the Corrado. Corrado may palm a little bit smaller, but this one palms very comfortably. So far, there's no issues. So that's what I'm going to pick. So, and you guys comment, there's probably some that I totally missed in there. I know. That's why I don't draw. So, if you have any other questions on BFS type stuff, feel free to ask. Let's talk about my swim bait, different stuff, and then we're going to jump to this thing. These are reels that are going to be heading out the door because I'm downsizing tremendously on BFS. Like if you guys haven't seen the pre-deal, I'm probably gonna have a couple BFS rod and reel combos, three or four all-around type combos that can, because I can throw BFS stuff now with the Steez Limited shallow spool. Even with 20-pound braid on it, I can throw a lot of BFS size baits. So anyway, the Calcutta Conquest is also still up in its box. That reel's going bye-bye. I guess I should put the Daiwas up front. These bulky, nothing to do with performance issues. These things just feel heavy. And then these 3 guys. I'm keeping the Arise Elite, the basically lingle that I customized, which there's a after thing of the customization, but the one I call the Joker. So the Elite, the Joker, and then possibly even this Calcutta Conquest BFS HG if nobody will buy it. I may put it on eBay, or the new one of those. So I have like 3 BFS capable, may use them. They also can kind of work for, you know, the lighter regular stuff. If I want to put them on a medium light rod, they can also handle that. And then I still have my spool that I could put in any one of my other Steez reels and go BFS fishing with that chameleon spool, which is still an option. So these guys are going to be on the chopping block. They're going bye-bye. You see one that tickles your fancy, jump on it because they're going bye-bye. I have not figured up a price because they've all been changed a little bit. This guy will probably be the cheapest for sure. The MK90 is my least favorite reel that I own to date. Now there's possibility that I may be including this Arise in the sale, but I think I'm just going to hang on to it for a while since I've got the Arise Elite and the Zillion. I still have the Zillion too. I've got 3 Steez Limiteds, this Zillion. Look at this. And I'll talk more about this. I changed something up. Brew Tank, I want to know about that. So the HLC I have switched around. It's definitely an awesome casting reel now. It still weighs... That thing is a tank in weight. I thought it was a little lighter because at the time I owned the Bantam, which was a crazy heavy reel compared to almost any other reel for its size. But this reel right here, right now, with that big power handle on it, the Zillion, still weighs a touch less than that reel. Just by a hair. The way cheaper Zillion reel is a lighter aluminum framed reel that basically does the same thing as the Steez or the Steez A you guys are going to be buying. Spend like $650 in the States for. It sounds insane to me. As much as I love my Steez Limiteds and I paid crazy money for them, I cannot fathom spending... I don't believe I spent as much money as this one as I did for, you know... I can see spend a lot of money for the magnesium, the lightweight reels, and they're going to perform, but that much for this reel, these reels that are, you know, kind of heavier, there's not near, from my understanding, it's just a more intensive, extensive process of doing the magnesium frames over aluminum. Maybe it's not even that. We've been being taken all along, but this is an aluminum frame reel also that even on Digitaka, we can get them cheap. This is like 400 or whatever, and this is like 250. Performance is all there. Like, I feel if I didn't know what a Steez was or what a Zillion was, I would feel this was a more expensive reel of the two just by feeling them and what they can do and how they feel in hand. And I think this one still doesn't have the extra bearings that this one has more bearings. The other one I did that I sold to Matt, I think this one's still the original one I had, and I never did bother to put the bearings because it's just so crazy smooth. So anyway, you guys let me know, even if you don't want to buy these, what would you guys think? These are originally sold for $75. I did add a few aftermarket custom parts that aren't really that, I mean, it's a used reel. So I'm thinking, I guess I could sell them as a lot. Should I sell them for 100 a piece, 75 a piece, 50 a piece? I don't even know. But I'm tired of them sitting around. They sit. I hardly ever, when I go fishing, the rod and reel combos I do take, I only fish half of those. And then these guys on the back row, they're never included in that trip in the first place. And then these guys are the ones that I do take on the trip, and then they set most of the time. This guy's been sitting at home forever. And so I'm gonna include him into the play. So these are going to be for sale. I don't even know about a price yet, so let's jump to another subject, talking about swim bait stuff. So in the process, if you guys didn't notice, I've ordered this Gomexus handle from AliExpress, and it was only $54. I did not think I was going to get that quality for $54. I don't know why. I just took it like, I'll get one just to, you know, see, am I wasting my money? Are they pretty good or what? But this handle assembly looks awesome. Feels good. I don't know if I can get used to a 100mm handle or not. I did switch this out. If you guys remember right, even in that video that I just dropped today, I called it feels ballsy. It feels bally. All of these cork knobs that you get from AliExpress tend to come with like and I shave them all down. They come with more too rounded of a feel. So I took the old handles off, or knobs I mean, off the handle, put them on my Dremel, and just smoothed them down some. Got them to where it just feels way better. It feels like a bigger version of this, which feels very good. So we went from, which at the time, 90mm, kind of seems like a big, big enough handle. So sometimes when you think, oh, well, you know, it's a 90 versus 100 millimeters, way bigger, but it's really not that much bigger. You're talking it's 5 millimeters on either side. So it only lengthened the, you know, the side you're cranking on by 5 millimeters. I'll try to get a good shot of that. So yeah, it's a big difference, but it's not like as insane as you would think. Now, if you were used to using 80 millimeters to 100 millimeters, that is a full 10 millimeter jump. So I think, I don't even know if this one's 80 millimeters. So yeah, that is a pretty good substantial jump. So I would suggest that if you guys are thinking about going power handles, you know, like me, whether it be for swim baiting, for, you know, cranking, for a heavy flip and pitch, a frog rod, and you're like, man, I want some more power. I would recommend one of these. I think they come in several different colors. I got the silver one. You guys know me, silver and gold, right? I'm like Yukon Cornelius or whatever off of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. But anyway, that one with it cut down, that is an awesome reel. I can't get it because I think that the shafts are made different sizes. I may look into that, but I think you can get this exact shaped one in an 85 millimeter that comes with different knobs. I may look into tracking down a shorter one. If nothing else, though, I'll get a shorter one because I like the look of those, and then put like this style knobs from AliExpress on it. I think it would look cool. Have a little shorter version on my, possibly, it depends on how far I go in my swim bait game. Because then I also have these knobs that I bought, and I'll be honest, I think most of your guys' opinion is also that they look kind of funky. They definitely are perform very well. So I stuck it. This is also, should be, I think, a 95 millimeter handle on the, that it was too much gold on the Arise. So that's the 95 millimeter handle with the Working Class Zero DRT varial flat knobs. And they're still just stuck on. There's nothing keeping them on because I don't have a long enough deal to screw them on. But they fit right on most of your internal parts on the knobs that come from AliExpress. So I stuck them on there. Used them. I just want to get out on the water and I wish I'd had these already cut down. I didn't. I cut those down yesterday afternoon. I wish I would have had those because I do like the feel of that, and I had them on this reel. This reel, the weight and just 10 to 1, nobody needs a 10 to 1 reel. It's my honest opinion. Unless you have a dedicated, like flipping, like if you're casting out, letting it sink, ding, 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 reeling it back, casting again, ding, ding, ding. That, all my stuff is too much, like I try to keep it versatile to use for other stuff. So due to that and the weight, this reel needs to go bye-bye. I wish, I love the looks of this reel. Overall palmability is fine with the older Zillion or any of the older Tatula. They do palm good. They're a touch on the big side, but they're comfortable. But yeah, it's got to go. So it'll be good to get this out on the water. So what I got coming is, I have not decided if I want to buy a whole different reel, like a swim bait reel. I have decided to buy a swim bait rod and maybe rods in as a couple. I haven't decided 100% for sure yet because I don't even know. You guys know me. I may do this swim bait thing even though I spent $350, $400. And oh, on a side note, I know I get sidetracked. I've already got another $100, $120 worth of swim baits in my AliExpress cart that either different sizes of the ones I already have coming or colors, or most of them were ones I've spotted since that order of different styles that I hadn't ordered that I feel I need to just get. The problem with AliExpress is, man, you find all this baits that are like, you know, Swim Bait World, $8 to $10 is actually cheap for a swim bait. And so I find these other ones pop up for 8, 10, 12. I'm like, oh man, wow. Oh, whoa, $20 worth of them. And it's like, yeah, maybe just wait till you get the ones you got. But I did go full bougie on a swim bait rod. Since I figure I already have a reel, I'm either going to put this reel or I may go full Bougie, and just because I can put a, it's a possibility I'll put one of my stees with either this handle or with the smaller one like I talked about with the regular knobs on this rod I've got coming, and then I'll buy either, I'm looking at the Victory swimbait rod or possibly the Megabass Orochi Leviathan, I think it's called. Maybe that one. And then that's when like this reel would go on that. If I don't go that high end, that not high end, but that high up in the swimbait size of rod, this is going to go on the rod I do have coming, and I'll just keep the Steez limiteds where they're at. So what I ordered tonight, I just decided, I'm like, dude, just get it. So I bought the Megabass Destroyer P5 Tequila Baccarat. I've been doing some research on it, just reading up on it, watching a few videos of people talking about it, and the specs on it anyway. It should handle everything I have so far. If I decide to go faster, you know, even with the ones coming from AliExpress, if I not go faster, if I decide to go heavier, bigger swim baits, then I haven't wasted that money, but I would need a bigger rod than what that Baccarat's for. But like me, I've pretty much every rod I have over there, the high end of it, I usually throw a little heavier than what it's rated for. Like the Cayenne Tetton's a perfect example. I've thrown some big baits on that rod. So I already ordered that rod because I do love the P5s, and I'm like, oh, well, I could utilize that rod anyway. So I've got it coming. I'm going to put this reel probably to start on it and see just what it feels like, what it, you know, and then when these baits come in from AliExpress, start getting out and fishing them, seeing which ones fit where. So I'll talk about that video real quick. You could tell there was a kind of a topwater bite going on. We're in clear water. What little swim baits we've got going, my soft swim bait, I think is going to be the hardest thing to figure out on this whole swim bait game is soft swim baits. How, when, where to utilize those, and how also not to lose them, even though we'll probably start out with some cheaper ones. But if we wanted to go with a little higher, what I call high dollar, like $15 for a soft plastic bait, basically, up to $40 is ridiculous in my opinion. But will we go there? I don't know. I don't think we will, but we might. I don't have any. I just have the Mag Draft and a couple of these cheap funky ones now, and they're really not good. They are so far not good. But in case you're just watching this video and you haven't seen the couple different swim bait videos I've already done, I will say that this little dude, let's start with the little guy. It looks like it swims all right. It just, I don't know. I'm starting to already dislike this little bait. That is their little 7/8 of an ounce, 6 cents. What do they even call that little dude? Something Speed Glide or something? I don't really like that thing so far. In all honesty, the S-Waver 168, I don't like this guy so far either. Out of the baits that I have so far and I'm thinking about rigging this chatterbait deal up on a different colored one and just trying it, because that thing swam real slow. It was actually starting to look pretty good, but wasn't getting bit that good. But these baits, once you add a little weight, and you don't even have to add this, you just get some weight to where when you do stop them, they sink slower. The problem is, these and almost every bait I have, I feel they sink, in my opinion, too slow. Like you can kind of let them start sinking and start working them back. When I kill them, I don't want them to sink that slow. So in my mind, when these baits come from AliExpress, once I find some that kind of suspend only in a couple feet of water to, 4 foot of water, but when you kill them, they stay there will be kind of the key to, I think I'll be able to get more bites, more or less on that morning bite. Like I'm looking for a, not really a wake bait, but something that goes just below the surface on some of these. So we do have some coming that are going to have like bills in them. They're kind of copies of the K9s and the TKs. I know I'm already calling them their little cool names. The Clash 9 and the Tiny Clash. And we'll be able to maybe utilize them better for that earlier morning topwater bite. That is my plan for almost all of my hard baits. Be a earlier morning, afternoon, anytime where you feel you could be throwing something to catch, you know, a topwater fish or a frog fish, or it's that kind of a feel going on. I feel if you ran these a lot of these different type of glide style baits, or the just slower baits, possibly even a wake bait, that's when you'd want to utilize that you know, the swim bait game. The minute you realize that everything's kind of pushed down deeper, if you want to do the swim bait game, you're going to have to, you know, start utilizing some of the soft stuff that sinks down. And in my opinion, you're going to want something that, and I know I mutilated this bait trying to get that hook to fit in, but you're going to want something that gets down on the bottom and drags. And I know that looks ridiculous. So I think I want to get the Magdraft Freestyles. I don't like the idea of having any bait with a hook down here for a couple reasons. One, we're not going to be catching 10-pounders around here. I don't think we are. We're probably going to be catching small fish, and if this hook is down here, we're probably going to be killing a lot of fish that we don't want to kill. That's just my opinion. So I think I want to try to keep the hooks up this way. So they're going to need to be weighted down more this way, and then when they hit them, if they're all hitting them close to right, we should be getting them up in that upper lip area. It's kind of my thoughts on that. Is why I've kind of tried to switch and gone away from that. Now who knows, I could be wrong on that, but I don't know. So that little cheap dude, I have not even really utilized yet. But my feelings are, if I'm going to have something, I want the hook to be out the front so I can drag it. I feel this is going to end up being caught up and causing some issues, but it may not. We have only just begun in our swim bait deal. It's not really a whole new world because I've fished the smaller swim baits, and in all seriousness, the big swim baits are simply just sizing up and fishing the same way you would, whether it be the underspins. Just like, you know, everybody heard about the owner beast hooks, or they've got, I already forget, the Gomexus has their little underspin, but in the big sizes. You can kind of do that, but if you go off what some people say and recommend, you know, if you're going to try to fool the biggest of fish, you want to try to get some of those swim baits that are more or less the soft ones, designed for that hook to be tucked up in tight, or have yourself a rig going up across the top that basically is hidden. So like the Magdraft doesn't really have a big enough fin, but not this bait, but I'm just gonna this is a Berkeley bait. But so you would almost want to run you some kind of rig up that comes along up in here with a treble hook and that top fin almost hiding it. And you could do it a couple ways. I've watched Mike Gilbert do it with like heating up the whatever rig he has, the metal, and he heats it up and kind of sinks it into the bait a little bit, but then run your treble hook up in here to where when the fish, you know, if you're down on bottom just slowly working a bait and they come up and they're actually eyeballing it, there's really nothing, a big, you know, old wary bass that's seen a lot of crap, it won't hardly see anything to you know, turn it off. And if you got the right bait and you're working it the right way, it's only got things it's seeing that's going to turn it on, right? Because if they're active and you're going to give it a little twitch here or there, you know, there could be one little thing that just stands out to them. Like even this hook, the way it is, they may notice that something looks a little off. And yeah, I cut all these fins. I was just playing around, trying to see if I could make this thing look. Because I found that, especially even in soft plastic or skirted baits and a lot of different stuff, the more gnarly and nasty they look sometimes, that's when they start getting bit, like even better than when they were new. Sometimes a new shiny, everything squared off, rounded, you know, polished off corners that are too square or whatever. Sometimes I feel that can be a turn off. So anyway, that's where we are on our swim bait game. How can you buy what? What do you want to buy? Thug Nasty, what do you want to buy? The reels? For me? Well, as soon as I 100% figure out a price, I'm just gonna, you guys can message me basically. Yeah, Jay makes a good thing that I kind of overshadowed on what I was talking about. Well, like, I'm not done with BFS, and if I feel something comes out that isn't just another going to be run of the mill with all the others, it's a better new improvement. But I honestly feel you're already there. Jay says the Arise quite a bit lighter? I don't even know. They both feel kind of the same to me. Hang on. Jay's done got me fired up. We're going to do a little quick weight thing, and then I'll talk about... This is going to be an hour-long video, Jay. Now you just made it into an hour, and who knows when. I'm just going to show you guys. I guess maybe you don't believe me on some of these weights, and I'm not talking about Jay and the Arise, because I'm not even sure about the Arise. So... I don't even remember what this reel weighs. Now it does have, it's got line on it, and I think the Arise, so it's full of line. They're basically the same line. This one's not totally full. The Arise is a little down. And then let's compare it to this dude, because here is a $400 reel from Digitaco, which is actually cheap. Now I've changed a couple things, but it's overall the same weight as what it would come. It's not like crazy different size. Same handle. Different knobs, different drag star, but which is close to the same weight. So that weighs, can you guys see that number? 100. Let me see. Maybe this reel is lighter. Okay, 197.5. Okay, so I think that's when I had blue line on it. It's when I weighed these two, and it was heavier than the Zillion. So now I think it is going to be a little lighter. 197.5 grams for the Steez HLC, which is basically a Steez, oh shoot. The Steez A, the newest Steez A. Now this is the Arise with these crazy knobs. I guess I should weigh one of those for you guys. Just curious who wants to know what they weigh. Get on there. Okay, with the 95mm handle and these knobs, it's 226. So let's just take the knobs off. We'll weigh one knob. Yeah, 10 grams. So it's probably like 20. Hang on. Geez, that one was stuck on. So we'll take into account that we've got a longer handle, aluminum, because I'm pretty sure the stock handle, even with what's right here, the stock handle on the Arise would be lighter. So 204 with line. 204 grams, and that's because it has, I think this has aluminum gears, and this has brass. 204 grams. This dude, and I didn't weigh the handle. I could take it back off, but I didn't weigh it. It probably says right in the description of the reel. Okay, let me turn it the right way. $203 grams. So it's a little heavier than this reel, but it is, if you guys can make out, that reel has, it has just some like backing. It is not fully spooled. And that does make a difference, because this one weighed 199 grams without. So you'd be surprised, even braid will weigh like 3 to 4 to 5 grams when you spool a reel completely up. So they're very close, and very close to this one also, as far as in their form they're in right now. So let's just compare this reel. If you guys have watched the Acura actually, and this reel, in the, as far as a reel that will get out there and cast right with these reels I'm showing you now, Now, it doesn't have any line, but it's only 187 grams, and that is with the brass gears. Now, what you could do, if you want to buy both of these from me, you could take this reel, which is 7-to-1, and this, or 7-3-to-1. This is also 7-3-to-1, but it has aluminum gears, because it should be the lightest of the bunch. And it's 174 grams. So if you switched out the spool and the whatchamacallit deal, you would have the lightest reel. And it's pretty capable. It does have a plastic or graphite composite, whatever you want to call it. Just so you guys will know, this reel with line on it, that thing, hang on, 225 grams. So with the power handle, $203, so 22 grams heavier. It's not a ton, but you can feel that extra weight. And then this dude, I think this dude's a tank, because he's got the 8. This is a brass geared 8-to-1 high speed. 183. I say tank, but compared to the other Lingles, he's a tank compared to the other ones. To the Lingle itself. 187. Is that right? How did he get lighter? Oh, I think it's because it got this spool compared to the standard spool compared to the BFS. Oh, also, if you guys do want to buy these, one of you guys was asking, then I'm going to get out of here. The, blah, 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 blah. So this reel is stock other than the modified little, I raised the thumb bar up, added cork handles and, or cork knobs in the handle, and it comes with that regular spool, the BFS spool, and I did do, if you guys haven't watched all the videos, there's a mag upgrade on these reels. I also did on this reel, that spool, and then this reel, because they have different braking than the true Lingles. But then on top of the deep spool, you have the deep spool and the shallow spool, which is this spool that came with this reel. That is the, which used to be, it was called the Turquoise Fox, but it was a green reel to start with. But I also bought that lighter, like mid spool. So there's actually 3. There's the, I don't know if you guys can make out up inside there. This is the lightest of the bunch. It's the shallowest. It's got the most cut out holes, and it's like a, you know, it'll handle, it's not quite as capable as the true Lingle because of the braking system, but it'll handle very light BFS stuff, and it's got, well, I'm not weighing it. But then this one is like that in between. So if you were wanting to put one spool in, you might be throwing some lighter, some heavier. You definitely want a lot of distance kind of stuff. That would be the spool. So that one will come with 3 spools. So I don't even know what to ask for them. Somebody comment. What would you guys ask? Why wouldn't they be available in the U.S. for much longer? Bruce says a BPS $18 Swimbaits. Which one are you talking about? Jay's saying I should get a 13 fishing to 5 black swimbait rod. I'll look into them, see how much they are. I know, here's the thing about 13 fishing rods, and I still can't explain it. I'm just going to tell you my thoughts on 13 fishing. I love their Defy Black. or they're Fate Black. Sorry, not the Defy. I don't know if I've owned a Defy Black, but the Fate Black, like that 6'7" medium. I love the way that rod looks, feels, works. I feel for whatever reason my hookup ratio on fish with that rod is insanely not good, and I don't know why. Oh, Thug Nasty, your new fishing? No, for swim baits or learning how to flip with. Like, I mean, these are good reels, but if you're wanting a regular type reel, yeah, you're probably. These are all like one end or the other for, BFS type stuff, but fairly lighter stuff, or you got like very high end, 400, 250 probably. I think that's what I gave for it. I added the drag clicker on this guy, didn't come with one. If you're wanting a beginner, dun, dun, dun. Well, I mean, these would work, but they're definitely, I don't know if I'd call them for beginners. I'm trying to think of what I would recommend. If somebody just starting out with fishing, period, I guess they would be just as good as any of them. I guess I'd have to figure out what I want for those three. Just calculating what I can't really calculate what I got in them because I put aftermarket handles. That one's got an aftermarket star. That one's got a whole extra spool I bought separate. I don't even know. I don't know. I have to think about it. You have to shoot me an offer also. If I sell them to anybody, any of you guys, it would be PayPal, and it would have to be friends and whatever, or we would have to include a different fee or whatever, and then you'd have to pay shipping also on top of that. The best way is just send me the PayPal friends and family or whatever it is. There's no extra fee, and if any of you guys know me, that way I don't get screwed. Because here's how let me tell you a quick story about PayPal. When I dealt with eBay, that's why I don't really deal with eBay unless I have to nowadays. I've told you the story before about getting taken by a guy overseas that said he never got the merchandise that he bought from me, and PayPal sided with him, even though I stated in all of my eBay stuff that I was not responsible for anything if you didn't pay for insurance, and that was shipping there was no way to get insurance. Anyway, long story, I'm not going to keep it long. So yeah, if you guys do want any of these, it would be like, it's not like I'm trying to scam anybody. You're going to get these, they're used, they're going to have a scratch somewhere. I'm not going to tell you where they are because there's somewhere, they all have a few little scuffed marks. I think there's one right there on that, maybe. But they're in overall good shape. They're not totally scratch. If there is like a total scratch, if you guys remember right, I had the Aldebaran MGL that I dropped, and I showed you guys like the scratches on it kind of thing. These reels have all been used, not abused, not overly abused. The only reel that honestly that I have issues with, if you guys remember right, and I'm not selling it, but is this dude. I did that crazy. What's funny is it still takes you a minute to look at it. It looks like just it's a line, but that line is actually cut in by braid. What's funny is like you still, when you first look at it, it's cut so perfect and straight, it's hard to make out that that's a flaw that was done by me. The vacuum cleaner caught the line sticking out and just dug it into the front nose piece. I don't think it's clean through, but it may be like a white dude's barbed wire tattoo that it goes all the way around. So anyway, yeah, they're all in pretty good shape. If I ever sell this Zillion, it is totally starting to wear off just for me and my thumb, and that's what was funny. Console Peasant said, "Oh, there's no way." I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, my thumb rub this thing off, and he's like, what kind of grit is your, sandpaper is your thumb? And I told him true grit. But yeah, you can really, if you look, anywhere there's a sharp edge that you've, where you hold this reel, it's like, it really shows up right there. It just totally starts wearing off that finish down here, from going in and adjusting the brakes, and then just from overall palming it. It just, I guess it's just not that thick of a layer, not coated enough right or something, and it just totally. What's weird is it looks good in person. It doesn't even really, and it's so right there to the edges where it almost looks like it's part of how it's supposed to be done. It's not like it's a horrible looks. I'm sure at some point these reels are good enough reels that you just be able to tell the wear on them, that they've been used, and it, I don't know, doesn't bother me one bit, but I know if I go to sell it, it'll be an issue. Alright guys, I gotta get out of here. If you're serious about buying any of these things, I will, in another, probably next live stream, I'll have prices up, and then if you tell me you want it then, I'll just shoot you my PayPal or whatever. If you send the friends and family deal, whatever, with your address, then it'll be shipped to you. Usually within, maybe not that day, but the next day. And if it's right on a weekend, if I say I'm in the middle of a Saturday night deal, it'll be like Monday when it would ship. So anyway, I'm out of here. If you got any questions about BFS, or comment below if you think I should get that Defy. Oh, I'm not totally done. I'm never totally done. 13 Fishing Defy Black Swimbait. I'm going to look it up right now. I'll tell you in my next deal if I even want to mess with it or not. Or I may already have it ordered. Who knows? But I will tell you this. If I get another one, it'll probably need to be for the bigger end of the spectrum. So from like 2 to 6 or 8 ounce baits or something like that, because I've already got the 0 to 4 gram. So most everything that's coming from AliExpress, that are definitely everything I already have, will be covered with that tequila baccarat. But I don't know. Who knows? Under $100, I've wasted $100 on a lot less funkier stuff than that before. Trust me. So get out, go bass bonsai. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Got a lot more coming up. If anything new that I feel is exciting in the BFS world pops out, reel-wise for sure, I'll let you know. If the Tatula Air becomes a thing, it's not that big a deal. If it looks anything like the Salamandura Air, it's not going to perform as good as the Elite or the Corrado BFS that's already in the market. So it's probably just going to be for the Daiwa guys. If you're a diehard Daiwa guy, you'll have a BFS reel that's going to have a warranty, basically, on the budget end of things. But it doesn't enthuse me at all, honestly, because I already know that I've already had the higher end Alphas Airs and I've gotten rid of them. Charles has some. It's something Charles may get. And if you got any questions on ones I've owned, Charles does still have, and we'll be giving you updates on those just periodically. But if something pops in your head, you got a question about one, and you haven't heard about it in a while, ask about it, because he does have most every one of those mentioned in this deal, except for I have the Lingles at the moment. None of us have the Cast King. He has a Cast King reel, but it's not a BFS. He's got the Arise. I think he's got a Micro Monster. He's got or no, he don't have the Arise. Sorry, he's got the Acura, Micro Monster, Dark Wolf Ultra. I'm gonna get him my Black Knight 2 when I get it, and it's still. Charles has some that are still the. I think he has both. There's a dynamic and the non-dynamic braking system. For those of you guys who know what I'm talking about there. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Get out, go bass and bonsai, and I will see you later.